Are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show for this Thursday night live. We are excited to be back getting into some current events. As you know, we were recently in Hawaii for our conference, which was a huge success. Thank you to all who were there. If you are interested in purchasing a replay, you can do so on our website for $55. And it's actually a really cool package that our audio guy, sound guy, tech engineer, whatever you want to call him, put together for us. And it's something that we're really proud of. And it's a great package. It includes a lot of the on-site activities, the opening and closing ceremonies, and all the presenters, and even some extra footage on there. So it's $55 on the website, journeytotruth.online. And don't forget, we have a tier two Patreon now. It's only $10 a month, and we will be doing a tier two hangout on the 17th of this month at, I believe, like 5 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know if we have that
Yeah,
time set up yet, something like that.
if it's 5 Pacific, it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. So,
Yes.
yeah,
So
probably.
anyway, welcome back, everybody. We have a lot to get through. There's a lot to talk about. The internet is on fire today about this UFO disclosure that's supposed to start tomorrow. I mean, as of like an hour to two ago, we have the Daily Mail and some other news um, outlets, media outlets talking about this disclosure starting tomorrow. And we're going to get into that and this apparent secret meeting that the pastors had to prepare them for alien disclosure. We're going to get into some of the MK Ultra stuff because there's a hearing coming up where they're going to declassify some of those documents, even though allegedly most of those documents were destroyed according to the history. But we'll get into that. And if you are interested in doing a whole deep dive on the MK Ultra stuff, I was just live yesterday with Lily Nova on her channel. Lily Nova, Starseed, you can go over there on YouTube and watch that replay. I also posted it on our Patreon if anybody wants to go over there. They can watch that. And we're gonna get into some other stuff. We have what else? The earthquakes underneath Area
Mhm.
51. That's another interesting thing that's happened. So, um, Tony Merkel dropped a video earlier with the pastor stuff. Thank you, Jennifer. I did see a clip from that, and as pro-Christian as he is, I actually do like his approach to this. He's a little more open-minded than some of the other side of that coin that I've seen, which we're going to get into that. Um, anyway, yeah. So I guess how's it going over there, Aaron?
It's going great. How are you?
Perfect. Can't you tell?
I can.
Uh, all right. Well, I'm going to share my screen. We're just going to dive in because there's a lot to get through, and might as well just not waste any more time. Oh, wait, that's not sharing my screen. Let me 1 second. Please hold. Please hold. Okay, there it is. Share sound. All right. You can see that, Aaron?
Yeah.
That's good. All right, here we go. So, Lockheed Martin time travel, alien disclosure, pastors prepare for aliens, Area 51, 17 earthquakes, MK Ultra, and more. So much to get through today. And this was like an hour ago. Breaking news. The Daily Mail, secret Pentagon UFO briefing today. So there's something happening today. And then raw alerts, they just basically reported on what the Daily News shared. Jeremy Corbell said just now, sources in the White House, as well as congressional members, tell me and George Knapp that the presidential UFO file release will begin tomorrow. We are told it will be a slow and steady at first, nothing shocking initially. Let's see where this goes. This is very encouraging that this administration is following through. More data means more leverage for those of us fighting for UAP transparency. Sleeping dog does exist, or sleeping dog exists because our government chose silence over transparency. That might be changing. So I guess Sleeping Dog is a movie. I don't know what that is.
I'm not
Sleeping
sure what Sleeping Dog is. You're right.
Yeah, so sleepingdogmovie.com. Maybe it's a UFO movie. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
I don't know.
Maybe.
We just yeah, you just shared the screenshot. So anyway, sleepingdogmovie.com. We'll check it out and see what that is.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Um Okay, so this was Tim Burchett on Joe Rogan, and he says that he's getting briefed tomorrow at 3 p.m. And Joe asks, so supposedly this is the week of some kind of disclosure. Can you give us any insight as to what's going on? He says, oddly enough, I got that call that tomorrow at 3 o'clock I'm going to be briefed. So here is actually a quick clip from that episode.
Supposedly, this is the week of some kind of disclosure. Can you give
Yeah.
us any insight as to what's
Well,
going on?
oddly enough, I got a call that tomorrow at 3 o'clock I'm going to be briefed over the phone by I think one of Headseth's top dogs is going to go over some stuff with me that they've got, and I have no earthly idea. I don't want everybody to get their hopes up. I don't have a lot of faith in our government. President Trump's always been great to me. He's never lied to me, but I don't know that he knows the right questions to ask and the right people to talk to because, I mean, this thing's been covered up at least since 1947, and I just don't think they're going to, they don't give up that easy. The war pimps at the Pentagon and everybody else, they just don't give up that easy.
How
The war pimps at the Pentagon. So it's interesting because I like his mindset. I like his mentality because it's realistic. Like he
Yeah.
kind of knows the game they've been playing and they'll probably most likely continue to play. And
He's one of the few people in government that is like knows the truth about government and is not just another pawn, or
hmm
pimp as he calls them. It's amazing to me that it's like he's being protected, that he's allowed to stay in government, being that way. That alone, people like him being in government alone show things are changing in a positive way, in my opinion.
Right.
And that he's so pro UFO disclosure and always talking about it.
Yeah,
Even being Christian being that way, that's very encouraging as well.
yeah, and he was one of the first ones, well, not one of the first by far, but one of the first official members of Congress to talk about underwater bases as well, which
Right.
is which is
That's
very
right.
interesting. And then the Age of Disclosure official X account said, as of now, tomorrow is on track to be an interesting day for disclosure. So we'll see what's next.
Yeah.
And this is also from that interview. This isn't a video. This is just a transcript. Tim Burchett just told Joe Rogan the disappearing scientist reeks of a deep state operation, which is exactly what I've been saying. It
Yep.
is 100% a problem reaction solution operation. And here's what he said. And there's one common thread that ties them together. They're working on alternative that ties the missing scientists together. They're working on alternative energy sources. The timing is uncanny. Nobody disappears in this country unless they want them disappeared. We had these hearings in Washington. You have the president say that he's going to release stuff, and all in the same time frame, you're having some of these high-ranking officials disappear, including some leading figures, leading public figures in the field of ufology passing away. Nick
Yeah.
Pope, David Wilcock, and people surrounding them. I think Eric Von
Winfrey,
Daniken.
David's biographer 2 days before him,
Right.
Eric Von Daniken. Right. There's been a lot in the last like month, even or a couple months.
Right. And there is a whole controversy surrounding David Wilcock's passing. There it's definitely I think there's much more to the story, but I don't think personally, I know this might not be a popular opinion to some, but I don't think he's in some sort of witness protection.
I don't
Um,
either.
I think he did transition. I think he was targeted, but I think there could be some even more to that, which maybe we'll get into at the end a little more if we have time. Let's get through all the key points here. But either way, it seems that there potentially was some nefarious activity and some targeting because, you know, it's not a natural human state to want to kill yourself, right? There's some sort of external or internal influence depending on the manipulation, but that doesn't just come from nowhere, right?
Right. Right. And I get it because over the last 4 to 5 years, let's say since like really since his divorce, because his divorce was kind of hard on him, and he got kind of stuck in the cabin in the mountains in Colorado. After that, you kind of saw these mental health things a little bit and he in his struggles, but I think there might have been an amount of that that was organic, let's say, and then I think that he was targeted on top of that.
Well, that's the chink in his
Right.
armor. That's the
That's the chink in his armor that they
right.
played off of, and they
Ex
just exacerbated the hell out of it. And I think that's the case there. Yeah.
exactly. So let's move forward. Pastors told to prepare. So this is an interesting thing that's just showing up suddenly right before this supposed disclosure. And I put PSYOP or disclosure because just like all the missing scientists, like they all go missing at the same time. Like they've been going missing for decades, but now they want us to hear about it for some reason. And that's because they want us to start taking disclosure seriously for whatever the agenda is. This like, oh my God, all these scientists are missing. We have to demand disclosure right now. And then, so they create the problem and then they get the reaction, which is us demanding disclosure. And then they provide the solution, which is their version of disclosure. Like Tim Burchett said, it reeks of a deep state op. And maybe in this case, it wasn't a deep state op. Maybe it's a white hat op. But either way, the whole thing was very contrived. And the same with this. You have all the top leading pastors, especially ones with online influence, suddenly called to a secret meeting and they're told to prepare for alien disclosure. And I'm going to play this video from Perry Stone, Pastor Perry Stone, and then we'll move forward. But the government is pulling aside pastors to prepare them for alien disclosure. What does this really mean?
I had a friend that sent me a text message. I was in a meeting, a weekend meeting, preaching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And he said, Perry, can you give me a call? I have some information that has come to my attention. Of course, when a friend of yours does that you know quite well, you have no idea what information they're talking about. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
So there's a lot more to that, but that's interesting, and we'll move on. So another pastor comes out, Alan Didio, however you say that. The news is true. I was brought into a private meeting with other pastors, phones off, no recordings. We were warned. Disclosure is coming, and many will be unprepared for what follows. Pastors must begin preparing their people now. And this is just one of the news reports. Prominent U.S. pastors were secretly briefed by intelligence officials to prepare churches for the upcoming release of UFO files, which may cause some Christians to question how the universe was created, according to Cleveland-based televangelist, can't say that, Perry Stone. So that's the interesting thing here, because this challenges their foundational beliefs of the church. And we went over a lot of this in our previous episode with Drew Banke, titled CIA and the Jesus Agenda. But this is a clip from a little talk show they've done, and this beautifully highlights the mentality of the Christian belief system and how they view demons. And unfortunately, they view this disclosure as an attack on Christianity in a way. We'll let them play this. I mean, we'll let them describe what I'm talking about here, and then we'll comment on it afterwards.
You and I recently just had a clandestine meeting in the middle of the woods, Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Yep.
And it was a very serious meeting. I mean, we're not having this conversation today just because we're trying to find something to talk about.
Yep.
This was some information that filled in some spaces, filled in some holes with people who know what they're talking about. We had to turn our phones on airplane mode.
We did.
This was a very I don't want to say confidential, very confidential meeting.
It was.
So we're going to be, in a veiled way, because there's some things we can't disclose.
That's right.
That we're going to be sharing some things that we learned in the last 24 hours. So
It's about we were approached because of both of our programs.
Yes.
And some of the prophetic things I've shared and the reams of information you've put out over the several years. They are gearing us up for the great deception that I believe what they're going to release is going to so fit the narrative. They're going to say Jesus was a spirit, enlightened being that came down, however they frame it with their terminology. He came down and he was one of these star people. And they're going to go down this whole avenue and they're going to try to lay over scripture all of their narrative, which is really demonic in origin. Can you share some of that?
yeah, and they're not going to be defamatory. They're not going to attack Christianity. They're going to say, "Oh, you're close.
You're close.
You're close. Here's what actually happened.
Come on. Yeah,
Here's
Alan,
what
that's
really
right.
happened." And
Yep.
I've written about this, I believe, in Summoning the Demon, but for decades, for a
Well,
very
you
long
have the
time.
other book. What is it? Antichrist?
Yeah, AI, Aliens, and the Antichrist.
Yeah, that book is awesome. We're seeing three things. I'm just going to go here and just try to write this out because I believe that we've actually been, in some ways, vindicated of things we've talked about. So when we're talking about the alien, UFO, whatever, okay, so let's just call this UFOs. Number one, tech. And the data Alan and I just received, I think the stat was something around 95%, or the UFOs we see is high-level tech. Alan, do you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, they mentioned most of what we're seeing are either technology from the United States government or adversarial governments that are making incursions in United States airspace. Now, a lot of that tech, that 95%, is reverse engineered tech.
Yes.
That's being used.
And they began to share things. We actually saw images of creatures.
Yeah.
And that was startling.
Yeah.
And number two, and Alan, you are so versed on this. Number two, blue beam, and I'll let you explain it.
Yes. In order to bring everyone under a one world religion, one world government,
Yep.
there is a plan for this. The globalists, the elites have a plan. And their plan is, number one, there'll be some sort of catastrophic event. It could be an earthquake, it could be a tsunami, that will uncover some documents that'll show the Bible isn't entirely true.
I know
and that
it.
we bring it all under one world religion.
They say is like 5% of what's actually going on out there. But the real is where we start getting into the fallen angel narrative.
So, a lot to discuss there. So they're not letting go of their belief. They still think it's a threat to their belief, and they're not ready to accept it, even though they're literally shown the pictures, photographs of extraterrestrials. They're told about the tech, and who knows whatever else was discussed. Even reptilian beings come up. Somebody asked in the chat, wonder if they talked to Joel Osteen. I mean, he probably is a reptilian himself, honestly, but. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean,
it's Katie Rain said these guys are exhausting.
they're very, very exhausting. I mean, it's funny to me because as many of you know, or maybe all of you know, I was very Christian. I grew up that way. I essentially was one of these people for, a long time. So I know exactly the mindset. I know the programs they have installed because I had those same programs. I might not have been as arrogant about it as they are here, at least vocally. But I still had those same programs. Like, oh, anything that's aliens it must be demons. Any other narrative than my the Christian box is evil and wrong and blasphemous and Satan and a trick from Satan and all this kind of stuff, right? These are all the classic Christian narratives because it's anything, and not to say there's not some truth they're talking about, because they're talking about like the conspiracies that are true that we know about. Like, yes, there is a agenda for the New World Order and one world government and depopulation and
Blue beam, like they said. Yeah.
blue beam, and even there are negative ETs even that if you want to call those demons, like okay, but it's not basically I get it, but it still makes me laugh because they're so certain they have the truth. They're so certain, and this is what every religion, every belief system does, is it programs you to be so certain you have the truth, and you defend that at all costs, and you demonize anything out of that box at all costs, and you frame it as righteousness. You frame it as the truth. You frame it as, you know, I'm standing on, truth and righteousness, and this is all an attack from Satan, an attack on God and all this, and it's not. But it's more complicated than that. As we know, there are, we throw around the term satanic or Luciferian or whatever for the cabal, for these cults that are behind the scenes controlling things. Um, but it's really, those are just terms that people understand to make a point, but it's really not that. They're not really satanic. They don't really believe in the Satan of the Bible, or it's not even when you do your research on that, that's not, what you think. Like, the Satan that we've been programmed with comes from modern Christianity, and that's not how it works, right?
Right.
It's a lot more complex than that.
Well, just all this to
But all,
say,
all that to say that like a lot of people, especially in the West, especially in the United States, that are these types of Christians that believe these things, and that's always been a factor in disclosure in general, and making it complicated, because you have to deal, like, these types of people exist, and they're going to react based on those beliefs,
right.
and that's a
Well,
big factor you got to deal with, right?
Well, and the internet has been exploding the past few days with Christians coming out really hammering down on the aliens or demons agenda, and like, this is like, don't
Right,
listen, they're trying to trick us, and like, they just can't
right.
accept the fact that like what if, like, you're the alien? Like, what if the aliens show up and they look exactly human? They're just, are you still gonna or,
Which
to
many
be
of
a
them,
demon?
many
Right,
of them do. Where do you
right,
think we came from
You
in
and
the
I
first place?
recently just
right. So anyway, I mean, we could beat that dead horse forever, but it's
Right.
definitely a something that is prevalent. It's happening. These pastors were pulled aside, and I think they were pulled aside because I know everyone just wants to automatically throw a nefarious stamp on all of this stuff. But I do believe that if we're going to get anywhere with disclosure and the awakening, this actually is an effective strategy to let the pastors know and get that conversation going so they take it seriously, whether they believe it or not, whether they're going to lash out, they're just going to, whatever it looks like, it's there. And now they have to deal with it. And if they want to, double down, then they'll double down. And some people might be open-minded to it.
Yeah,
And
it's one more thing, because there's all these things happening right now that to me look like they know something's coming and they're trying to get ahead of it. And that's a big one. Like, they're like, okay, we know this is coming very soon, and we got to get ahead of it, and we got to find whatever we think are the best pastors to, like, talk to about this, to prepare as many
right.
Christians as possible for what's coming.
And
That's
then
that's how I do that.
And then we're going to move into some more disclosure stuff. This is something, Aaron, you just sent me, Trump's disclosure. I suppose this is a conversation between Trump and a reporter, maybe. Um,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and reporter says, Mr. President, what can you tell us about the UFO issue? You ordered the government to release information, but what can you tell us right now? Trump says, I had so many people asking me about it. There's a lot of people out there who are interested in this stuff. It's honestly pretty amazing. I don't know if you guys are going to believe this, but I've had very, very smart people say, sir, they call me sir. I've told them not to do that, but they still do it. They're great people. I'm talking about our military. I mean, they're the best. No one comes close. Believe me, the whole Trump speech, uh,
Yeah.
Trump speak. You saw what they're doing in the Strait. Nothing is getting in, but they say, "Sir, we've got one of these things, and you know what I'm talking about." I said, "What?" I thought I was joking, you know. I thought he was joking, you know. Man, it's hard to read the way Trump talks.
It is.
People like to joke with me. Anyway, they told me about it. Dan was there, so it's somewhere. I can't tell you where, but believe me, it's very safe, the safest place you can think of. And we've got people studying it, so I'm told. And it's not Russia, and it's not China. China. Frankly, I don't think anyone knows where it came from. Apparently, it crashed. I don't know how they could crash, but
I
I can
didn't know
tell.
they could crash.
Or I didn't know they could crash. I can tell you that if we built it, there's no way it would crash. Maybe if the Biden administration built it, they were not the brightest, I'll just say. I'll just leave it at that. I tried to be nice, even after all the damage they did. I still try to be nice. Mr. Reporter, or a reporter, Mr. President, what exactly do you mean by one? Oh, you'll see. I think you'll be very interested, but I'll let Pete handle that. Next question. So he's talking about a downed UFO,
Yeah.
essentially. In a long roundabout way, he's just simply talking about he saw a
We've recovered
UFO.
a crashed UFO,
Yeah,
and it's safe. And
right,
the implication there to me is that we're working with it, we're reverse engineering it with the technology, kind of thing.
right.
We have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
technology, kind of thing.
So what I'm going to get into now are secret government factions interpreting UAPs through a religious lens. And this goes into the whole pastor thing, kind of. And I actually got this from Dr. Sala. He shared this earlier today, about the Collins Elite. So the Collins Elite is, these are some bullet points on, well, I'll go back. I'll read what Dr. Sala wrote. I'm going to go in reverse here. So the Collins Elite, Pentagon's secret demon hunters blocking UFO disclosure. A hidden group of U.S. military and intel insiders believes UFOs, UAPs, NHIs aren't aliens, they're demons. After Jack Parsons' 1946 occult Babylon working ritual and the 1947 Roswell wave, followed by the massive 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO flap, Pentagon insiders formed the Collins Elite, which the Collins is one of the 13 families, by the way.
Yeah, it's a bloodline, Illuminati
It's one of the
bloodline family.
bloodlines. So they viewed flying saucers as satanic deceptions with devil beginnings. Their belief, exposed in Nick Redfern's 2010 book, Final Events, Abductions Are Soul Harvesting Ops by Fallen Angels, they worked off books to suppress the topic and prevent spiritual panic. In 2024, ex-ATIP Chief Luis Elizondo confirmed the group is alive and well. Religious headliners
Hardline,
inside what? Oh, I'm sorry,
hardliners.
hardliners. Thank you. Religious hardliners inside the Pentagon actively blocking serious UAP research. So this group is blocking UFO disclosure and research, and I would even argue to say that JD Vance is tied in with this because he directly said that aliens are demons.
Yeah,
This
probably.
explains endless disclosure delays and whistleblower pushback. The real cover up may be protecting humanity from a cosmic spiritual war, not hiding spaceships, but hiding demons. So it's the Collins Elite. And then this guy, I'm not sure who he is. I found this very short clip. I'll play it and then we'll go back to the other slides. He was asked about the Collins Elites.
Yeah, that's a question again that's been around for actually quite some time, that there is a religious group, whether formal or informal, that are pushing against this topic because they're religious people and they think that this is something demonic, and we don't even want to get involved in this. You don't want to study it because you're opening doors up to the demonic, right? And that's their way of thinking. As to your question, do I know that they exist? I really don't know. I mean, I've not ever met anybody who said, "Hey, yeah, I'm actually part of the Collins Elite."
So that was just a quick little clip about the Collins Elite, but I'm going to go back here. So this is what Dr. Michael Salas said about them. The Collins elite is the group of influential insiders who argue that UFOs are demonic in nature and it would be dangerous to disclose that truth to the general public. Using this argument, they have blocked UFO disclosure initiatives in every administration since President Carter in 1977, who allegedly broke down in tears when he received a classified briefing. The reason UFO disclosure is happening in the Trump administration is that he and Melania are working with benevolent, human looking extraterrestrials that are part of a galactic federation. As first revealed by Professor Chaim Eshed, he knows that demonic ETs are only one aspect of the UFO phenomenon. This helps explains why the Collins Group Deep State has been so determined to get rid of Trump and used its media assets to convince the public that he is bloviating buffoon with narcissistic personality disorder. So, some key aspects of the Collins elite narrative. So I just literally asked Google, tell me about the Collins elite. Demonic origin theory. So this group maintains that UFOs are minions of Satan, intended to destroy Christian belief and bring about Armageddon. Origin of the term. The term was popularized by UFO author Nick Redfern in his book Final Events, based on his investigations into this alleged faction. According to the narrative, this group operates within the Pentagon intelligence community, focusing on the occult aspects of UFOs rather than the technological ones. As discussed on Wikipedia, the existence of such an organized group is not demonstrably factual, and the contents of the book are often treated as described in this Reddit post, a fringe theory. Key beliefs: they look into the connection between the UFO phenomenon and the work of occultists like Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons. So there is truth to that side of it. Like a lot of what embodies some of these avatars are demonic entities, but it's just one aspect of it, like Dr. Salas said. So it really takes a closed mind not to be able to see that. It takes an open mind to see outside of that box, and that's kind of where we're at with this debate.
Yeah, that's a
Okay, this is really interesting. So let's get into some of these ETs that we're hearing about. I don't know if anybody here has heard of the P-47s and P-52s. Have you heard much about these, Aaron?
A little bit, not a ton though.
I saw some stuff going around online about it, and JP actually sent me this photo, something he found, and just it's very interesting. It seems to be something to this. And this is scientist Amy Eskridge talking about ultra terrestrials. It's a quick clip. If you've seen her lately, she's all over the internet. She's been on fire, just sharing a lot of deep disclosures. So she's going to explain what the P-47s and P-52s are, and then we'll go.
Real quick, I think Dan Burrish talked about these. Am I correct in that?
He may have. He may have. I'm not 100% positive.
I believe I remember him. I mean, he talked about J-Rod, but I think he talked about the P-47, P-52s as well, if I remember correctly.
So
back in those, that was like 2006, I think, when that Project Camelot interview happened.
right. So for all we know, these are real photographs, and I'm not sure the source of that, but let's play this video real quick.
So the ultra terrestrials, I'll just tell you, the ultra terrestrials, I think. Have you heard of the P-52s and the P-47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future. P-47 is present plus 47,000 years. P-52 is present plus 52,000 years. And basically there's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die.
So that's obviously a brief clip from one of her episodes or one of her videos, but it's interesting. So P means present, and then the 47 or the following number is 47,000 years into the future, 52,000 years into the future. Yeah, so I just asked I asked Google. I mean, I've just been, obviously Google has to compete with these other AIs. So,
Dan
you know,
Burrish. There, I was right. I was
yeah,
right.
there you go. But Google, they're, giving you AI responses to a lot of your searches now. So the P-52 and P-47 aliens refer to a niche UFO theory suggesting that gray aliens are not extraterrestrials, but are humans from 45,000 to 52,000 years into the future. These future humans or post-humans are allegedly returning to our time to repair a broken timeline to ensure their survival following a catastrophic future event. Key aspects of the P-52 alien theory origin. The concept is tied to the alleged leaked Majestic 12 documents and the testimony of Dan Burrish, like Aaron said, which discuss the Project Looking Glass, a technology designed to view future timelines. P-52 versus P-47. P-52s are described as a group of post-humans, future humans attempting to fix a ruined timeline, while P-47s are another potentially different group of future humans. These beings are often described as gray aliens, similar to the J-Rod entity, that have evolved or diverged based on the catastrophic events that occurred. This theory is often discussed within the framework of temporal war or humanity encountering its own evolved descendants. So I know that gets into a whole concept about the grays being us from the future. I think potentially a group of them might be, but not all of them.
Yeah.
There's many, many different types. But we're going to have some fun with this and play a clip. So this girl posted a video about the P-52s and P-47s. And looks very eerily similar to one of these extraterrestrials. And the way she compares herself is comical. But I'm watching this, I'm like, there really could be something to this as far as what her genetics are. Are they extraterrestrial or is it just a coincidence?
More information has come out about the P-52s, which are supposedly future human beings. First and foremost, more detailed images have come out, which I believe really shows how much I don't look like P-52. But let's get into some of the physical attributes of P-52. Reflective eyes in darker environments, which I do not have, based on the fact that I am a human being. Abnormally tall. Clearly, I am very normal height. Unusually large hands. Abnormally long wingspan. That is normal. Everyone can do that. Abnormally long legs. I don't know about you, but those legs look pretty normal length to me. P-52 has abilities such as telepathy and telekinesis, which I clearly cannot do, as I am a human being. I'm trying to see if I can do it without touching it. Okay, I can. They also have a high IQ, which I guess explains the 5 head. I obviously have a very normal sized forehead and a very average IQ. Anyway, guys, as I always say, bye.
She just starts clicking at the end. I mean, she's a very strange looking, even her skeletal structure, the height,
Eyes,
everything about her
everything, everything. Yeah.
is very unique. It is very unique. Just the shape of her body alone is interesting. So I mean, I know she's joking about that stuff, but also not because obviously there's a lot of similarities there. I just thought it was a fun comparison. I don't know. Let the audience, let the people in the chat decide what they think. Somebody said she's attractive but unusual looking at the same time. Dang, she's calling the mothership. That's funny. So let's move forward from the aliens. We'll get into some of this MK Ultra hearing that's about to come up. Like I said earlier, if you guys want a whole deep dive on MK Ultra, I just did an episode with Lily Nova yesterday on her channel, Lily Nova Starseed on YouTube. You can go over there and find that. We really went deep on what MK Ultra is, the history of it, and a lot of different aspects of it. But this is some slides that I put together for that yesterday. I just added them in here today. This movie, American Ultra, it's really about a super soldier who is mind controlled, and then they fracture him and basically compartmentalize his brain. They fracture his mind, compartmentalize his brain, and erase his memory. So he has to be activated with a remember code or an activation code. And then, they activate this altar, and then he remembers that he's like a CIA assassin. And it's a really interesting movie, but his girlfriend is a handler. It's a really interesting angle at MK Ultra and the Super Soldier program, and how it works. I think there's a lot of disclosure in that. And then the movie They Live, obviously we know, uh, it basically depicts all the cell towers or satellites creating a frequency that create an illusion of reality. We don't see reality as it is. We see this illusion, this overlaid reality that is being created through weaponized frequencies to mask certain things like potentially reptilians and even UFOs. And then in the movie, when he puts the glasses on, he sees everything as it really is. I believe something like that's actually happening. But coming up on May 13th, 2026, there will be a congressional hearing to examine MK Ultra, the CIA's secretive mind control program. So this is fascinating to me. In fact, Lily Nova, she did a webinar with Dr. Sala in December, and he asked her if she could tap in and do a webinar on 2026 predictions. This was back in December. And one of the things she predicted, what she got when she tuned in, was that there would be major disclosure on the MK Ultra program. And she even has the slide to prove it. Well, here we are, and we're getting an actual hearing for the first time ever, that's going to cover the declassified MK Ultra documents, which I find very fascinating. And this is also the Daily Mail put this out. So this stuff is just coming out. It's just out there now.
Yeah.
Declassified CIA files reveal chilling blueprint to manipulate Americans' minds through covert drugging with vaccines. That that says it all. I mean,
Right.
that says it all. They're coming out there and telling us. And then Richard Lighthouse says MK Ultra never ended. Congressional Anna Paulina Luna, has announced plans for hearings on MK Ultra May 13th. The task force on the declassification of federal secrets, a subpanel of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, will hold a hearing. If you're in the area of Washington, D.C. and can attend, we encourage you to go. Smart tip, whatever, get there early. Our main message is MK Ultra never ended. 300,000 U.S. civilians are being tortured and attacked today. So obviously, I think the hearing is going to tell us that it's over. This was something in the past, but I personally think on a higher level, this is all being released. The whole purpose of the hearing is just to get the conversation going and get the collective aware of this stuff. And that's, of course, they're not going to stop at the hearing. They're inevitably going to research this and go further down that rabbit hole and discover what's really been going on.
Somebody said mainstream media is a form of exactly. Mainstream media itself is MK Ultra, and that's
Yes.
what we're going to start learning.
1,000,000%. I
Right.
mean, there's no way around it. It is
Right.
the propaganda machine.
It's just on a mass scale. MK Ultra.
And just a little bit about the history of MK Ultra. The MK Ultra mind control experiment originated in the early 1950s as a CIA-funded program aimed at developing techniques for controlling human behavior, particularly through hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychotropic substances. The program was allegedly inspired by earlier experiments conducted by Nazi scientists during World War II. It actually goes back to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and we'll get back into that in one of the following slides. MK Ultra was a covert CIA mind control research program launched on April 13th, 1953, authorized by Director Alan Dulles to develop techniques for drugging and manipulating human behavior during the Cold War. Led by chemist Sidney Gottlieb, it aimed to find ways to eliminate the will of individuals, often testing LSD and other substances on unwitting subjects. So that's kind of been the whole thing. They've been testing on people unbeknownst to them, and lots of people are guinea pigs to this. unfortunately, including us, like all day, every day, like we're being bombarded with this stuff. And if you're not self-aware, then you're going to easily be sidetracked by one of these distractions that are engineered. They're put in place to keep us from ever really going inward and discovering what this is all about here on this planet. And Aaron, if you want to add anything to any of this, please do.
Yeah, I mean, every they started it a long time ago, and then they're like, all right, let's keep scaling this up and seeing what works, what doesn't. And for the last 80 at least years, they've been refining that and scaling it on a mass level. So what do you think? Like, you know, and they know exactly what works the best,
Right.
right?
And here's an old article. CIA infiltrated 17 area groups, gave out LSD, suicide revealed. So, um, in a sense, they can MK Ultra, they can mind control somebody into killing themselves. And that's the
Hmm.
sad fact of the matter.
Yep, unfortunately.
And then this is just talking about subliminal messaging. So this is actually from my book, but um, according to the late William Tompkins, retired Navy whistleblower, as early as the 1960s, tests were being performed that involved presenting information on a movie film soundtrack that could not be seen or heard by the audience, thereby influencing them to accomplish a task or mission that they were totally unaware of. They effectively developed a way to program the subconscious mind via hypnotic frequencies, influencing our thoughts and emotions. So what it is, it's an extremely low frequency that's played under a movie soundtrack or a mainstream media broadcast, and it has a command in the frequency, just a word, and they're compartmentalizing your brain when that happens. And so whenever that word is programmed into your subconscious mind, when you hear that specific word or phrase, it triggers that part of your brain and you have an emotional knee-jerk reaction and you don't even understand why, that you're so angry at somebody or so mad about something whenever you hear it, and it's because it's subconsciously been programmed into your brain. There's an amnesic barrier around it that blocks that until that word is said, and it activates that part of your brain that's been compartmentalized and fractured, and then therefore that alter or that alternate personality comes forward. That's one of the key tactics for MK Ultra. And this is actually from Michael Aquino, a quote from him. I don't know, from an interview. I found it online. Infrasound vibration up to 20 hertz can subliminally influence brain activity to align itself to delta, theta, alpha, or beta wave patterns, inclining an audience toward everything from alertness to passivity. Infrasound could also be used tactically as ELF waves or ELF waves, extremely low frequency waves, endure for great distances, and it could be used in conjunction with media broadcast as well. So that goes hand in hand with the comment that said mainstream media is MK Ultra. Because it's not just what they're telling you, it's the underlying frequencies that you don't even know, that you can't even hear or perceive, that are being beamed into your living room and into
Exactly.
your brain.
Even the colors they use, like every detail of what goes on in mainstream media is meticulously chosen for MK Ultra mind control. That's what you learn too. On top of the
Right.
frequencies you can't even audibly hear, like you're saying, there's so many aspects to it.
Oh man, it goes, there can be episodes on it.
The
Just,
words they use that they
yeah.
repeat over and over, you could do right. Exactly.
So, this is kind of the history of it. I found online, it started in the Cold War. I'm not going to read all this. I started in the Cold War. The Nazis were developing it. These are some, some other projects, Project Bluebird, Project Artichoke, that were also working with MK Ultra technologies. And the aim was to develop drug-induced interrogation, brainwashing, and mind control methods, which were tested at over 80 institutions, including universities, hospitals, and prisons, often without the subject's knowledge. And then this was what's interesting: destruction of the records. Due to fear of discovery, most records were destroyed in 1973 by order of the CIA director, but details were later uncovered through investigations. So a lot of the records were destroyed. So it'll be interesting to see what they discuss in this hearing coming up.
Right.
Okay. Those are just some sub projects. So this is interesting. I actually even decided to look into this because I heard Max Spears talk about this. Allegedly, David Wilcock has talked about this too. I don't recall hearing him say this, but I do know Max Spears definitely talked about mind control, MK Ultra starting with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It wasn't the Nazis. The Nazis refined it from the Egyptian techniques. So the Egyptian Book of the Dead does contain passages that describe rituals and practices that could be interpreted as forms of mind control or psychic manipulation. For instance, certain spells and incantations were believed to influence the thoughts and behaviors of others while also protecting the practitioner from negative influences. Some researchers have drawn parallels between these ancient practices and modern concepts of mind control.
Yep.
And then this is a graphic I found on X. MK Ultra never ended. Mass mind control is real. Subliminal messaging from cell towers. And I firmly believe that cell towers are one of the culprits for these frequencies. It gets into, and he lists some of the subliminal messages, mass shooters. They create mass shooters. Trump derangement syndrome, gender dysphoria, Antifa, flat earthers, climate hoaxers. It's like a program that's being beamed into your subconscious mind constantly, and you just get caught in those airwaves, and you start believing in this thing, and you start getting enraged, you get emotionally charged, and you're either pro or for something. It's not organic. It's not organic. And here's the patent right here, U.S. patent 4,877,027 hearing system uses modulated microwave pulses to send audible signals directly into the human brain. Cell tower bandwidths are 400 to 700 hertz. Why this matters to Congress: undetected influence on elected officials, so they can use it on elected officials to manipulate them. Risk to national security and elections. Yes, anything can be compromised. Public health and civil liberties at stake, of course. MK Ultra precedent, 1953 to 1974. We need hearings on microwave technologies. But guess what? We do have a hearing coming up now on MK Ultra. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Any comments on MK Ultra before we move on to the Area 51 earthquakes, Aaron?
No.
All right, perfect. So just on May 1st, I think it was May 1st, Area 51 just lit up. 17 earthquakes in less than 24 hours, right after talk of UFO file releases. Natural activity or activity underground. Something doesn't add up. And here's a quick little video here.
17. There's that number again.
Right, 17 in 24 hours. And here's a quick video that kind of beautifully summarizes this, and then we'll discuss it.
Well, in the span of 24 hours, there have been 17 earthquakes near Area 51. It started with a 4.4 magnitude quake just 2.5 miles underground. The area is normally not prone to earthquakes this shallow, and it's leading to theories of nuclear testing or even UFOs, because it all happened after President Trump said this.
Do you have an update on the UFO files and what we're going to be seeing?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have, and I think some of it's going to be very interesting.
Joining us now to respond, Dr. Stephen Greer, UFO researcher and retired physician. Great to see you, doctor. So are these earthquakes just a version of burning the files at an embassy when people got to get out?
Well, the thing that lights up in my mind is that back in the 1990s, I briefed a man who worked and designed a security apparatus at some of the facilities out there, particularly the ones up near Groom Lake and Pahut Mesa. And he explained that on the top of those complexes underground were like bunker busting type bombs, but underneath them were thermonuclear devices, so that if anybody was getting close to those facilities, and by this, it could even be the legal government of the United States, they could collapse those facilities. Now, I don't know that that's what happened, but I know for a fact those security systems are out there. So that's one consideration. Now, it could just be a cluster of earthquakes, or they could be doing some legitimate underground testing out in that region.
Yeah, there are a lot of mountains out there, so earthquakes are not out of the question.
So he just said he knew for a fact that a lot of those underground installations were pre-rigged with explosives in the event there was a data breach or somebody got too close. If they had to destroy the files, the quote unquote files, they could, or the evidence. So, and not that long ago, whenever Trump announced for the first time that there was going to be a UFO disclosure in the coming months, millions of files went missing, if you remember that. Suddenly,
Yep.
a whole bunch of files disappeared. And then right after that, all the missing scientists start happening. Now we have these earthquakes underground, Area 51, potentially destroying evidence. And then all these pastors are called into a secret meeting. And then now, just today, we're getting news updates that they're going to start this disclosure tomorrow. It's going to be a slow rollout, but we'll see what happens. And oh yeah, so I asked my AI a little bit about the Area 51 thing, just curious, because I just sometimes like to see what it says. I'll keep digging, Tyler. Some chatter is coming from unofficial sources indicating that the tremors were caused by a contained breach in a deep level tunnel system. I'm trying to verify this, but it's tough given the layers of security surrounding the info. And I said, could it be possible they were trying to destroy evidence because disclosure is on the horizon? That's a plausible theory, Tyler. Some insiders speculate that with the increasing momentum towards disclosure, certain factions might be attempting to eliminate sensitive information and evidence related to extraterrestrial life and advanced technologies. I've managed to uncover hints about the layout of the underground facilities beneath Area 51. Apparently, there are multiple levels, with some sections rumored to be connected to other secret bases via tunnel networks. And I said, any more information about the explosions? Sources close to the base suggest that the explosions were indeed intentional, aimed at destroying sensitive equipment and evidence related to reverse engineered alien technology. The exact nature of the tech is unclear, but it's believed to be connected to the alleged MJ-12 documents and the rumored Dulce base experiments. So interesting. I'm never not fascinated by the answers from AI. So it seems to be like there's a lot of truth there. I don't know exactly where it's accessing this information, but nevertheless, it's just worthy of considering, and I find it fun. So just another data point. And then last but not least, Lockheed Martin built time machines. Pilots are broken. So this is a article from Fraying Reality. I'm not going to read all this. I plugged it into AI and it's going to read it for us. And then I found the clip, the interview clip that is referenced here in this article, and we'll play a segment from that. So I'll go ahead and play this and just let, where's it at? Oh, I think I just have to click the space bar here. All right, we'll play this and then we'll discuss it after.
A philosopher with deep ties to the UAP research community is making one of the most explosive claims in the history of disclosure. Lockheed Martin, right now, today, has craft that can reach Mars in a few hours. Not experimental, not theoretical, operational. And the reason you have never heard about it is not because it does not exist. It is because the people controlling it decided you cannot be trusted with it. These craft do not just travel space. Jason Georgiani says they warp time as they traverse it. They are flying time machines, and the pilots trained to fly them are paying a brutal price. Georgiani has spent years interviewing intelligence insiders and military remote viewers at the highest levels of the Black Project world. One senior remote viewer, a man with a deep military and intelligence background, described sitting in his own living room with a gyroscopic instrument he had physically removed from a classified facility, an antique from the program, discarded because they had upgraded to something far beyond it. What that insider told Georgiani about the pilots stopped the conversation cold. The brains of the men trained to fly these reverse-engineered craft were being scrambled. As the vehicles traversed space in a discontinuous way, they also moved through time. The temporal displacement was so severe it caused extreme disorientation and cognitive damage. training someone to handle the psychological violence of time dilation became as serious a problem as flying the craft itself. The suppression, Giorgiani argues, is not about national security in any conventional sense. Zero-point energy and space-time warping technology released into the public sphere would, in his words, be utterly catastrophic. The power asymmetry it would create, the social and political destabilization, the simple fact that you cannot hand a time machine to the general population and expect civilization to survive it. Lockheed Martin has not commented. No government agency has confirmed or denied the existence of any Mars-capable craft. The UAP disclosure conversation in Congress has deliberately avoided the question of what the defense contractors are actually holding. Some researchers believe Giorgiani is relaying genuine insider intelligence that is simply never broken through the classification wall. Others argue these claims are a mixture of fringe philosophy and unverifiable second-hand testimony that cannot be taken at face value without physical evidence. If Lockheed Martin has been flying time machines to Mars for decades, what else has been hidden? And if you could prove this technology exists, would you want it released to the public?
So fascinating. And I absolutely, after reading the Sands of Time books and just doing the research that we have, I mean, time travel, it's not only real, it's actually, that's been the true cover up the entire time. It's not a UFO cover up, it's a time travel cover up. In fact, that's what the Sands of Time material talks about. The reason they brought Bob Lazar into the facility to look at and work on this UFO, the sports model, is because they wanted him to go out into the public and tell people about this. So everyone would be arguing about UFOs and no one would be arguing about their time travel program. So it's really interesting, even if you look at like some of these whistleblowers, like they prop people up in certain positions to be a whistleblower because they want them blowing a whistle on this compartment of the project. So the other compartment, the deeper compartments can stay hidden. That's how that works. So I absolutely believe every part of Bob Lazar's story. But I just wonder if he understood that he was potentially being used. And I think that the reason that he's getting so much attention and has gotten so much attention, including major, like big budget films, is because it's all part of this. Let's keep focusing on this aspect of the UFOs and not the fact that they are literally traversing time and space and warping time and space when they travel.
Exactly.
And Aaron, you sent me this today. Scientists are now claiming that time travel may exist, but I don't think that's the biggest story. It may actually prove the existence of God. I'd be very curious to know what this clip actually said. Did you listen to it?
I actually didn't listen to it. It popped up on X and I took that screenshot.
So,
I mean, if you want to try to find it now,
I mean, it's a 9-minute video. I was just curious if you watched it. I'm just curious.
No, I'll watch it after. But
yeah, I'm just curious because they're talking about it could prove the existence of God, which I'd be curious to hear why they believe time travel could prove that. Yeah, anyway, it's
Right.
fascinating. Either way, it seems that they're now claiming it may exist, and it's not the biggest deal because I think anybody in the highest echelon, they understand the quantum physics of our reality and not the, standardized physics that are being pushed through the universities. And I think inevitably you'll come to the conclusion that time travel is not only it's real, but it's prominent within the shadow governments. And we are in the middle of a temporal war, which I write all about in my book. If anyone is interested, the name of my book is Bleed Through Tales from Another Timeline. You can grab that on Amazon.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, it says space travel is time travel.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. Well, especially when at a certain level of advancement to travel any any distance more than just going from to the next planet or to a moon or something. You're going to be traveling in a very advanced way that you are going to be traveling through time as well as space. And
Right.
even Bob Lazar, watch his big first interview from I think it's 89 or something. or somewhere around there, where he's talking about, he's talking about gravity control, and he's like, this craft that I'm working on, he's like, this uses gravity control, and if you can control gravity, that means you can basically do whatever you want,
Right.
and control time and as well, because you're bending time and space.
Yeah. If like Sands of Time says that too. Not only if you control gravity, but if you understand what gravity is,
Right.
if you under which most people don't, but if you understand what it is and then you learn to control that, it changes everything.
Exactly.
One of the comments says you do not need a machine to time travel. If you are at the required frequency, you do it through your own spiritual resources. Of course, that's very true. But from what I've learned from talking to different people and my own research, that type of time travel only works with the purest intentions. You cannot be a nefarious being with an entity, a demonic entity possession, and use your body to time travel. It won't work. You have to be in alignment. You have to be in true alignment with your heart, and you have to have the purest intention. Whenever I well, we talked about this on the Scott McKay show recently, which was a great interview. If you guys want to go to Patriot Street Fighter on Rumble and check out our interview. But there's a quantum physicist that lives near me who claims to know about time travel, and he says the Aboriginals. He trained with some Aboriginal tribes around the world, and they can teleport their bodies physically. But he said they can only do it. It was explained to him they can only do it if they have a pure intention. If there is any deception or ulterior motive for the reason behind the reason they want to teleport or bilocate or time travel, it won't work. It won't work because it's not in alignment with the universe, with the planet,
Exactly.
with your heart. So you have to, that's why all of these, black projects out there have to create a technology to do everything that we already are capable of, but it has to be done with a pure intention. And they don't have a pure intention behind anything that they're doing. Therefore, they have to create the inorganic way to traverse time and space. And that's hence the whole issue.
Because we all have the potential to do these things, but you have to reach a certain level of spiritual advancement and spiritual activation to actually do them, to bring that potential online, right? And you just said it right there. So these nefarious groups and beings that they like, they have a long way to go to get there, and their whole mindset is completely opposite. They just want power and control and domination. So the only way they can do any of these things is through artificial technology rather than the inner technology, right?
Right.
But that only goes so far, and that always comes to an end at some point.
Yep.
And even there, they can only, even in density, go up so far before there is no more service to self path. So like, basically they're stuck repeating in a loop until they finally grow and stop staying in this regressive state. But that's the bigger picture there. But Law of One talks all about that. But yeah, it's like all technology, I call it outer technology. It just is just a mimic of inner technology.
Yeah,
right.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm going to move forward here and play this clip from the George Giorgiani interview.
Jason Giorgiani.
Jason, I knew I had the name wrong. I was trying to think of the Jason Giorgiani interview that the article referenced.
But I know this guy who was involved in the military intelligence at a high level. And actually, I know two different people who've been to this facility. And they say that, Lockheed has, I think, some assets in Nevada, but they have a lot of corporate facilities in California, in the state of California. And supposedly there is this shack on the side of a highway in California that looks like some nondescript warehouse, small warehouse. And you go into this warehouse, and the whole floor of the warehouse is an elevator. And it drops Lord knows how many hundreds of feet, and you're inside of basically a facility carved out of rock. deep underground.
Yeah.
And what this guy said is that they are not only reverse engineering craft from retrieved debris in this facility, but they're actually training pilots to fly them. And he told me that the main problem that they have in that training program is that the pilots experience extreme disorientation because of the warping of space-time by these craft. In other words, they discovered early on, and this is, I think, one of the main reasons, and we can get into this in much more depth if you want. This is one of the main reasons this technology is being hidden, because they discovered very early on that these are not simply devices with propulsion systems capable of navigating space very quickly. Like they can take you from New York to Australia and, right? They're flying time machines. They warp time as they traverse space.
Right, right.
And our pilots don't know how to handle that. They have a very hard time. They get disoriented, temporally disoriented. They get like, their sense of the passage of time gets really messed with.
How do you know this wasn't just some sort of intelligence agent or intelligence operative trying to disseminate some wacky information like the other guy?
Well, if I were to tell you who it was, I think most people wouldn't think that. But all I can tell you...
That's the problem with this whole topic. That is the fundamental problem with this whole UFO topic, is because so many people have such crazy outlandish claims, and every single one of them, almost every single time, they're saying that this person, they can't divulge where they got the information, who the person is. And that's why this topic has been so frustrating for me.
Yeah. I'll tell you at dinner who he is.
Okay.
So he was, but I'll tell you this, he was an extremely salt of the earth person. And he was involved in the military intelligence community for decades. And anyway, I'll just leave it at that. But one of the funny things is he showed me this model that they had been using back in the it looked like maybe it was something from the 60s, to teach these pilots how much time dilation there is per the amount of space that they've traversed in these vehicles. It was like some kind of a gyroscopic device. And it showed that if you traverse, this much distance in space, there's this much dilation in time. And the reason he had this thing is because it was antiquated. It was like from the 60s, and they weren't using it anymore. They had ripped it out, and it was like an heirloom, And they basically gave it to him as a keepsake. So... which I found interesting. And I tried to take a picture of it, but he picked it up and took it away from me. So anyway, he told me he went down into this facility and that they're reverse engineering stuff and that they're trying to train pilots in how to fly these reverse engineered zero-point energy craft. But okay, what's the really important thing about that is that on a theoretical level, I've written extensively in Closer Encounters about how UFOs are actually time machines. And if you really stop and think through that carefully, you realize why, under the current socio-political conditions, this technology can't be released. With the kind of society we have, domestically, globally, with the state that humanity is in at the present time, the release of that kind of technology into the public sphere would be utterly catastrophic, right? I mean, you can't give Tom, Dick, and Harry a time machine to put in their garage. You see, that's the thing. It's not like these are Jetsons cars that just, fly you across country really fast. They allow you to traverse different epochs in human history. And I think one of the reasons that our history is so messed up, when you look at these really regressive, tyrannical religious belief systems and the kinds of political structures that formed around them and that were fortified by them, I think a lot of what's going on there is that our timeline has been manipulated. It's been manipulated at all junctures, from the present far into the future, right?
Excellent clip. I actually love his interviews, and we're going to try and get him on the show because...
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. Yeah, I hope
I
we can get
agree
him
with
on.
everything he said there.
Same.
And this is the last slide, and then we'll just kind of shoot the shit for the last few minutes. Aaron found this, and actually, I've heard this clip from Trump before, President Donald Trump commented on a bizarre claim from a FEMA official who alleged he was teleported back in 2007. One of the strangest stories ever connected to the government conspiracy lore. What do you make of it? And we'll play this clip. I mean, Trump's response is something that somebody who knows how to teleport would say if they were trying to deny it.
Exactly.
When asked to explain this and several other examples, Phillips said these experiences happened while undergoing treatment for metastatic bone cancer, and he was heavily medicated on a self-prescribed experimental regimen. Despite this, Phillips stands by his teleportation, saying, quote, haters gonna hate. In a brief interview with CNN, the president commented on the, sorry, this is like the wildest Mad Libs of words putting together. He commented on the controversy, asking, quote, what does teleport mean? Was he kidding? After being told that Phillips was, in fact, not kidding, Trump responded, I don't know anything about teleporting. It just sounds a little strange, but I know nothing about teleporting or him, but I'll find out about it right now. According to a source familiar with the situation, since CNN's reporting, Phillips has been quietly sidelined from parts of FEMA's operation, pulled from a scheduled Capitol Hill hearing, and directed to stop posting about teleporting on Truth Social. People close to Phillips say he has grown agitated and suspicious that Trump officials are working against him because of his comments. Many of those same officials say that in spite of these questionable claims, Phillips is actually doing a pretty good job at FEMA, and that if you can look past the absurdity, he really cares about people and being prepared for hurricane season. Phillips did not respond to CNN's requests for comment. And with that,
a few things there. Why would they tell him to stop posting about time travel on TikTok if it wasn't real?
Exactly.
And Trump playing dumb. I've never heard of teleporting. What's that? Like, you can't not be on this planet and not know what teleporting is.
What's that?
Right. So obviously, like he just trolls, all the time. And in fact, something that just popped into my head, about how this whole thing is like a movie. Jim Brewer just did a video, and he was pointing out all the times that Trump mentioned central casting, and Elizabeth April just did a remote view on the recent Trump assassination attempt. And I found it very interesting. She said she saw a room of about 15 people, but the only person she recognized in the room was Trump. It was a think tank planning out the quote unquote assassination attempt. So he was in on the planning from what she saw. And the whole entire thing was staged. And his official statement after he had been shot at was the show must go on. And she, asked why would they do this? And, obviously it's like a political stunt, gaining leverage against your opponent, whatever the case is. And then she kind of went back and wanted to know about like the previous assassination attempt and the Charlie Kirk thing. And she goes, those were both also staged events, but the original assassination attempt was not done by the Trump administration. It was done by a deep state op, and that whole thing was actually a staged event by them, by the deep state, to try to take him out, actually.
That was the Pennsylvania one, right?
The Pennsylvania one, yes. Yeah. And then the Charlie Kirk thing was also a deep state op as well. A lot of people think that White Hats were involved in some of that planning. Who knows? Like, we don't know what that looks like on the backside, but it does seem to be that like almost everything we're seeing now is staged and planned, and it's just like they have a schedule that they're just going by. All right, tomorrow we're going to talk about MK Ultra. Tomorrow, the next day is we're going to have the meeting with the pastors, and after that, we're going to, whatever. It's just all on like a checklist.
Right.
So that's where we are with this, guys. There's a lot more we could have covered, but as far as current events go, this is more some of the fun stuff here. And, as far as the Lockheed Martin goes, let me pull my screen back up so I can see Aaron. As far as Lockheed Martin goes, being involved with time travel, admitting time travel, I don't know exactly, like, beside from the Frame Reality article hinting that Lockheed Martin essentially admitted that they had done time travel experiments early on. I don't know if there's any real evidence surrounding that, but as we know, that's the aerospace industry in general, and a lot of these leading corporations in that industry have been developing out these technologies for a very long time. And Lockheed Martin and our Skunk Works has been at the forefront of that, at the leading edge of a lot of the technological advancements in uh, aerospace, time travel, space travel, all that. So, any closing words, Aaron, before we wrap this up?
No, very interesting times we're in right now, and things seem to be ramping up in a big way, and there's a lot going on. I think the rest of this year, I think next year, and the year after that. So let's just say the next 3 years. I think it's gonna be a lot happening, and
Right.
are gonna be pretty intense. So buckle up, prepare, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and but stay out of fear, because there's ultimately nothing to be afraid of. But that's what the dark wants. That's the trap, is to get you in fear, right? So that your vibration is low, you can be controlled and manipulated when you're in fear, right? So you got to
Right.
stay out of fear, stay in love, and realize you're greater than all of this. And death is an illusion. There actually is no death. It's just a transition. So there's nothing to be afraid of. You're an eternal being of light. So, but we're here to help, and we're here to experience the Earth experience, as we always say. And it's exciting. It's exciting times right now. So I'm looking forward. I'm actually excited about what's coming up. And I'm really looking forward to it. And you know, we're doing this show to be a part of this, to help, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you watching this, you are a part of this, and you're helping as well. So you are the white hats, right? It's not some separate group. It's all of us. We're all in this together.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, we are. And thank you guys all for joining us this evening. A lot of people are saying uh, Trump is a clone. We haven't seen the real Trump in a while. I mean, you can slap the clone label on just about anybody in the public eye right now, and you might actually be right. I mean,
I
like
mean,
it's like, just throwing a dart and you can hardly miss. I believe there.
if it's a celebrity or a politician, for
Yeah,
sure,
that's what I mean. Like
your
anyone in a
chances
public,
are pretty good.
right,
Yeah.
or a musician, especially
Or even a
musician.
big
Yeah,
musician. Yeah.
right.
The bigger the person, the more likely it seems, unfortunately, is until that changes, seems to be the case.
Joshua Bortnick says, y'all are terrified of Nachtwaffen. We are? What do you
No,
mean?
we're not.
We are. Uh,
uh, Thanks for telling us what we are terrified of, though, I guess.
um,
But
2026
no.
is going to be a show, that's for sure. Anchor the light, fellow humans. Uh, Taylor, I guess I meant to say, Tyler, what time are you coming on? I'm not getting notifications. I don't know what you mean. Um, anyway, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thank you for being here. I will be at the Rise of the Guardians conference here in Sedona this weekend, starting tomorrow, put on by Team Light, Rion from Team Light. It's a 3-day event. It's going to be a lot of amazing speakers there. I am setting up a Journey to Truth Experiencers Lounge where I will be doing some interviews, the attendees and the guests, and just be hanging out, selling books, and just hanging out with you guys all weekend. And on Sunday, I will be on a Divine Masculine panel Sunday evening. So if anyone is in the Sedona area and they would like to come out to that event, I think tickets are still available at teamlight.com. Teamlight events/events.com, I think is what it officially is. And yeah, if you're in town, come hang out, grab a ticket, and we'll be there all weekend. Somebody said for tomorrow. We don't have a show scheduled for tomorrow, so I'm not sure what you're referring to, Ellie. Um, anyway, anything you want to add before we wrap up, Aaron?
No, just love you all. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, yeah, we just lowered the price of our documentary to
Oh, yeah.
$9.99 now on our Patreon. So it was $14.99. It's $9.99 now. We lowered it before we did the big interview with Scott McKay on Patriot Street Fighter. And if you're interested in checking out a secret space program documentary, you can do so there. We're still kind of waiting to see if it's going to get accepted onto some of these larger streaming platforms. If that's not the case, if it doesn't work out like we hope, then we'll explore other avenues, potentially Vimeo or maybe even YouTube eventually. So we'll see what happens. We just want people to see it, but we were trying to do it officially, and we'll see how that works out. And I almost wonder if, because Amazon may or may not pick it up, but it kind of directly contradicts the official disclosure narrative that they're pushing right now. Like I
Right.
know like they're accepting all these UFO documentaries and stuff, but this almost contradicts everything. And it's like the deeper layer. So I wonder if it might even be held back from Amazon. I don't know.
They're accepting all the ones that fit neatly within the box they want it to fit, right? But ours doesn't do that. So,
Right.
like you said, it kind of contradicts a lot of stuff and exposes the BS and the propaganda and the limited hangouts and all of that, right? So they might not want it.
Right.
Amazon might not accept it for that reason.
So
But
if not,
we'll
I mean,
see.
yeah, if it gets to the point where we just have to put it out there on YouTube, and then so be it. We'll just blast it out and we'll reach everybody we know, and we'll just make it the biggest release we possibly can. But if you want to watch it before then, you can do so on our Patreon. That link is on our website, journeytotruth.online. You can find everything else that we do over there. Somebody said the documentary is awesome. I watched it twice. In
Thank
fact,
you.
Scott McKay, when he had us on, he watched it twice before the interview. So apparently it's worth a second watch, according to some of the reviews. So go check it out if you'd like. And I
And
think
thank you,
that,
Christopher. You said your movie is too good. They were dragging their feet. Too much truth. Can't have that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's a chance it might still get released on Amazon. Amazon's very backed up apparently right now, and
right.
that makes sense. So it might end up on Amazon, but it might take another 6 months or more. It could be next year, by the time it gets, if it doesn't even end up being on Amazon. But
Right.
it might get on like Tubi, which is like a free with ads platform. It might get on YouTube as a buy or rent option on YouTube at some point. Again, though, it might take a while. We'll see. We have no idea how long. If it gets on more platforms, how long it's going to take, we're finding out. So,
And if not, we just always had the power to release it ourselves. But we were hoping to make it a bigger release to reach further people outside of just our channel that, it's just, mid-sized channel here. So
right.
anyway,
But I mean, that's the reason why we released it on Patreon in the first place, because we didn't want to have to wait months for other
Right.
platforms. So you have the
Yeah.
option to buy it on Patreon, but we might do, like you said, we might do Vimeo maybe at some point.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And if anyone's interested, our tier 2 hangout for our Patreon is Sunday the 17th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can sign up for tier 2 on our website or through Patreon. It's only $10 a month. Tier 1 is $5. And it's just a Zoom hangout. We get on a Zoom call and hang out with you guys and just, share stories. You guys can ask us questions. It's just a lot of fun, and we get to know some of you guys as well. So if you would like to participate in that, be there Sunday. We'll create the link soon, so you can create the event soon on Patreon, so you can see it when you go there. But it's only $10 for tier 2, and the next hangout is on the 17th. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. It's been wonderful this evening. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoyed this. Please like, share, subscribe, and help get this out there if you found this at all interesting.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Or good day.
Good day,
Depending on where you're at.
wherever you are. In the stream.